Well, good morning, everybody, and I'm bringing Virginia up on the virtual stage here. We have not been live for a while, just because I think more I've been busy because I've been kind of in transit and traveling and stuff like that. But if you haven't watched us in a while, welcome. And Virginia, how are you doing today?
I've been really busy over all of those people in North Carolina, and I've been working. But it
Yeah,
has,
that's why. Well, that's why we weren't on last week. It's because of the hurricane. I was didn't
yeah,
have any internet, and
didn't have
so
any internet. This has been the worst disaster I've ever seen in my life. And I mean,
oh yeah.
I did get, we have people in my town that have planes, and I just sent money to them and supplies to them. They're flying in on Saturday. There's people that's been all over the world that's coming in, and but people better start looking at what this is really about. Well, especially on Twitter, they're all starting to now. People are starting to wake up that things just weren't right in some of this stuff. So, like when you've got FEMA not letting people come in with hundreds and hundreds of supplies, I'm shocked at our country. I really am shocked, and our government is taking too strong of a hold, and I think a lot of people are tired of it. That's what I'm feeling very strongly, especially about FEMA. FEMA was not letting a whole lot of people in. This one woman that's been reporting every day, and they had to leave that area and divert themselves out of FEMA because they didn't want anybody to go in. So that's not how Americans are, and we're not like that. So yeah, it's been horrifying to see what went on, and that's a beautiful area, all of that is.
Oh
So
yeah, North Carolina. Well, we were just there.
yeah, 3 years
You know, 3 years ago we were in Hot Springs, North Carolina.
on my
So
birthday.
I remember.
Yeah,
I
it
remember.
was like, and we loved it. Remember, we were sitting right there on that coffee store with Pasha.
Well, in that little cabin that we had, and right next to was it called the Laughing Lounge or
Some
Laughing something Laughing Lodge? It was right by the Appalachian Trail. So
Yes, you could walk right up on and get it. But it just, and then when I saw the pictures of what Pasha had to go through, I thought, oh my God, it's going to take them years and years and years. If they even, there's a lot of people who are just thinking about moving. And this is why I think it's a land grab. I mean, they've already started with people giving them, directions about how to buy their land back and all of this. And I thought, oh, I don't think
well,
there's,
a lot of them, and then a lot of them don't have flood insurance there. So it's
yeah.
well, probably pretty much probably nobody has flood insurance.
I
So
really think they don't. A lot of them because they just got hit 13 or 14 months ago on another one. So they didn't. They didn't even do their.
well, and they're just not used to flooding there, so like, why would you? I mean, we have, and a lot of us don't have flood insurance because it's so freaking expensive here in Florida.
Yeah,
So
because this guy in North Carolina said if he did get flood insurance, it was going to cost him $500 a month.
yeah.
That's outrageous.
Well, I mean, car insurance. Damien's car insurance is extraordinarily high. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, and it's that's the thing is like I all things aside, this is my conversation with people when we start talking about these kind of subjects, and people say, "Well, I don't believe that." I'm like, "Well, at the very basis, you have to admit that everything is outrageously overinflated in price, and there's no reason for it.
No.
I mean, it's and so somebody's tried to argue basic economics with me. I was like, "Yeah, I understand basic economics very well." I said, "But there's certain things like you cannot tell me that in 14 years, well, just in 4 years here in Florida, my rent has almost tripled."
Hmm.
And and then people get kind of judgy. I mean, like with the hurricane, people get really judgy about, well, why didn't you evacuate? I'm like, okay, but where was I going to go?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
how are you going to go out when everybody's going out at the same time?
right. I mean, it's the selfishness and the arrogance of people drives
Look,
me insane. So it's like, So I mean, and I was like, and I happened to be in an area that was a non-flood zone, but people were in non-flood zones and got flooded.
Oh, this, well, especially in North Carolina and there, they never had anything like this. I mean, I've never seen boulders in things like that. They blew out mountains.
Yeah.
And I was
One,
like,
and then I mean, this is where everybody's so stressed. So we had COVID, we had all that stuff going, and just multiple things in the last 4 years, and you've got people that are barely scraping by, where before all of this they had somewhat of a good life. And I mean, I had savings, and it's like, and now my savings is gone. And there's people that like to make comments and say, well, you should have managed your stuff better, and I'm like, excuse me. So I'm like, are you witnessing what's going on here? I mean, I
know their income and how they handle. Everybody's very quick to give their opinion about somebody's
yeah.
situation, but they're not looking at their own situation. That's one finger pointing, three fingers. They better
Well,
look at their own situation.
that's why, and I used to be very quiet about my stuff. I didn't really talk about it, but now I talk more, and there's a reason because you know what, that's okay. I can be the target of people's judgment and comments, but I need everybody else to understand that shit happens in life. And it, because shit happens, or as Todd Medina would say, shift happens. So, but every time that shit happens, you do shift
Yeah.
and you do grow. And by the world standards, my last 3 years of my life um, could be considered to be very stressful and very horrible to some people. And to say that I didn't have my moments, I mean, Virginia's walked me off the edge a couple times where I was just in a, how the hell am I going to figure this one out? And you know, honestly, and she was always been accurate. And this is what I say now, and I've said this for a while, but I had to practice what I preach. If you've done everything in this world that you're supposed to do, that you can do, then the only thing you can do is to turn to something that's greater than you.
Mhm.
And that's a higher power, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, spaghetti monster in the sky. Whatever it is, you have to turn to it, because what else are you going to do? And then the other thing is like, what does it serve you to be terrified all the time? Now, I'm not going to say that you're not going to have moments. I mean, there's going to be moments. I was just going through one yesterday, and I was having like a little, I was pissed. And then the rest of the day ended up being amazing. So, hi, Carolyn, and um, from West Virginia. And um, so yeah, there's a lot of crazy things. And, you know, when I see my friends and people that I love that have lost their homes and their businesses, I mean, countless people. I had a friend that was moving to Asheville, you know, like
Yeah.
literally. And then I've got friends that have lost their businesses and their livelihood, and I've seen them. I mean, they're exhausted. You know, I watch, and but at the same time, I'm seeing them stand up, and I'm seeing humanity very strong right now. So, you know, there is a lot of selfishness, I would say, from um, other people, corporations, and elite and stuff like that. But I'm also seeing tremendous amount of compassion from other
Yes.
people. So, I mean, that to me is tells me that we as a planet and as a culture are growing.
Mhm.
So,
I agree. I'm seeing more compassion, but I'm also seeing a strength within these people, of all of them that's involved, including me and anybody that's, we've been on the phone. I've checked out people. If there's the plane going, I called some friends in Marshall that I knew. I called their grandmother and she said they're okay, because I was going to put them on the list to do drops. And, it's just, it's, I can feel the strength of the American culture coming back, that they're really finding out we're not going to take it anymore. This is it. And that was like the last straw for these people. I mean, they've lost more than you'll ever know. And when they're not doing, when they're allowing people not to do what they need to do for their families, their neighbors, and everything. Let me tell you, these mountain people, you don't want to mess with these North Carolinians all of that, because they're like that. I've seen these people on those mountains, and these women are the women that I worked with when I was in a retreat. I used to teach up there, and these women are tough. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they made their own. With this one woman built her own dang house, and I went up for a mountain. And I mean, she said, "Well, you can go up there because I got to go check something out." It took an hour to get up to her mountain. And then we were in everywhere. I thought, oh my God. I said, do you drive this way every day? She said, every day, because she was a school teacher.
That's crazy.
And I
Well,
mean, to be down the hill and up in that and go through cattle. I got out and I opened up the cattle gate and put that car in. It was like, wow. And she showed me, she said, I did this all by myself. And it wasn't a small house. These are mountain women. They can knock you down with what they can do, and their stamina is incredible. So you get that.
it's funny. We had I have a friend that just bought a place in Kentucky in the mountains, and we were laughing because I can't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about like crazy people in the world, and she goes, I said, you better watch out now because you're in the Kentucky mountains, and those Kentucky mountain people are not, they're crazy. And she said, she goes, well, they're definitely nice people, but I can see that them, yeah. She
Yeah,
goes,
you
besides,
connect with them.
yeah, and she cracked me up because her closest neighbor is miles away from her, and like literally she's out there. She goes, I'm a little old lady here on this 40-acre farm,
Yeah,
and
and you do it yourself.
yeah, but she's doing good because she's rehabbing this home,
Yeah.
and she's loving it. And she moved from Florida because she was tired of the rising prices. And hey, Kelly, it's Kelly saying hi. Kelly, I'm glad to see you online. We've been sending you prayers.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and and so she, it's just wonderful to see. But I think that right now, to everybody, if you don't pray, I mean, or there is everybody. Top people say, well, prayer doesn't work, and I said, but
Oh,
if you've ever heard of the Maharaja effect, this is about where they had a group of people meditate and focus in on peace, and they actually lowered crime by 25% in
indeed.
in DC. And so there's another a video, and maybe on one of these coffee chats I'll actually play it. But I sent it to you the other day, Virginia, and they were talking about consciousness and how we get downloads. So if I'm thinking something in this area in Florida, I don't necessarily have to be connected to somebody on the other side of the world, because it could be a lesson I've gained or or an epiphany I've had or growth I've had that connects to, because we're all interconnected in consciousness, that connects to somebody on the other side of the world, and they can download that. So if we already know that we are connected on some level when it comes to through our
We say that
subconscious
all the
mind.
time, Jeremy, that we're all one.
We're
When we
all one.
one in the energy of who we are, it might not
Yeah.
be our physical bodies, but our minds are
Right.
energy. Our thoughts are energy. So that goes right to them. And I'm seeing some really wonderful things from the prayers that people are sending
Yeah.
in. And
So if
the
you if you can't do anything, you pray. And
yeah,
that's what the power went out where we were at. And poor Jesse went into his car and turned on the car and sat there with the air conditioner, because the air conditioner, it was just so hot. And then they and Damien went out there, and they left me in there with the gaggle of dogs on top of me. And and so
that,
Carolyn was on the phone with her son the other day, and I said, "No more dogs." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Because it's a herd of Yorkies."
yeah, it
So,
is.
but I sat there and I prayed, and because I couldn't sleep, and the dogs were hot, and so I decided that I was going to pray. And what I was on is I was on this Facebook group, and people were posting about people that were stuck in their homes. And
Yeah,
one that just really sticks out for me is this 87 and 84-year-old couple living up in Hudson. And a woman posted that, please go help my mom and dad. They just called me and the water is up to their knees and they called to say goodbye. And somebody actually got them out that was in their neighborhood and took them to their two-story house. And if she hadn't, but I remember I just started praying. I said, bring peace to them and bring them to safety, and and make it easy for them. And so somebody actually took a boat, like a rowboat, over and got them out of their house. And that was happening all night long.
Yeah.
People were taking their boats and their four-wheel drives in and things that they could get them in there. But and it was just the most beautiful thing in the world. Now, I don't know if I affected that. It doesn't matter. I had to do it for me because it was the only thing I can do at the moment. But what I did see was the most amazing, loving culture of people. And now what I've been watching in that same community, I'm seeing people get groceries and help people and get diapers for parents and things like that. That's going to help them be successful. You know what? That's how we come together. And what prayer also does is it brings you into the now of the moment so that you can focus your energy in. So it's not just about you believing in something outside of yourself, because it's not. It's about you really feeling yourself in that moment so that you don't feel so in fear that you're crippled.
Hmm. Well, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of things people do get crippled or paralyzed by.
Yeah.
That's why you immediately get still and start just breathing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I've had to do with a lot of people in the last 2 or 3 days. Just get them to breathe. Just get them to get calm down enough to breathe, to feel the breath, because the Holy Spirit is breath. And I did write a thing. I said, we need to call the Holy Spirit. Well, that's when everybody started calling in the Holy Spirit. And I thought sometimes it just takes one person to lead that through, not because they're special, not because it's just somebody does it. And then everybody kind of goes right along with it. So, but to see these people from all over the world coming, that tells me that we haven't lost that compassion. And that's what I was seeing a lot in the pandemic. There was no compassion. We
Yeah.
were seeing death. We were seeing horrible things. The American culture has been changed. We all know that. But what it is, I think it's going to get stronger.
Hmm.
I think because we are giving people, even though it doesn't look like it all the time, I know we do. And because the way I'm looking at it, 73, I know whatever I can do. And if I had to write a check, I wrote a check. But it's not just writing a check, because how many times did I hear these people say, you can't eat money? This is where people don't understand. Money will not buy you anything if you're setting up on a mountain and everything's gone. You have no water. It doesn't matter how much money you have. And this is where people are starting to really realize money is not the issue here. It's being able to understand that you have these things that are what people need. And so
Well,
I think,
money is in that you're absolutely right, because money, everybody, law of attraction, people think money is abundance.
mhm,
And this is kind of the most powerful thing that I will tell you is my prayer is not about me being on my knees with my hands and all that kind of stuff. It's just a conversation I'm having. And one of the things that has happened to me is, like, literally I've been laid off 3 times from jobs over the past 3 years, and my savings is gone and my credit cards are ran up. And I'm telling you all this because, money and that kind of stuff doesn't define who you are.
mm-mm,
And I've seen people that are multimillionaires lose everything,
mhm,
but the abundance they have is what's in their heart. And so, but then when I lost this one on August 6th, I just started going. I just said to myself, I don't have time to get into fear. And I just kept on. And I've literally traveled to Colorado and spoke at a conference, started another part of my business, and everything, and everything in my business is at such a great place. Is it making me tons and tons of money? No, not yet, but it's still in that beginning phases. And so, but so then, and my friend, one of my friends, and is in severe amounts of pain over the past few months, and it's been hard to see him in a lot of pain. And then his partner is my one of my best friends, and watching him, and how he's hurting because he's seeing his partner in pain, and that's heartbreaking. But what I saw, I started praying, and I just started saying, "You, I know you've got us. I know you've got us, and I know it's gonna flow perfectly." And so, yesterday, one of my best friends got a promotion at work that he didn't think he got. Justin got the promotion at work to head library technician, and Jesse got approved for his surgery, and I got a job. And so, and I got a sign-on bonus that's going to cover some expenses that I just did not have time to worry. I just said, I know you've got this taken care of somehow. And then this morning when I signed on it and saw that sign-on bonus, I was like, I almost called you. It was like 7 o'clock this morning and said, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah. You,
And because somehow, and I decided to move out of the place I was living in because for varying reasons, but one of them is I didn't want to continue building up a debt. And somehow the kindness of the people that love me have made sure that I've had a place to stay.
mhm.
And so, I mean, these are the things that this is where God really works through all of us, and we become an instrument because God is consciousness. It's not a man in a white flowing beard sitting in the sky casting lightning bolts out down on us. It's a consciousness, and
Right.
so uh,
Yeah, and watching when I'm watching the churches, I mean, and it's pretty powerful. Churches coming in and people doing what they need to do. And it's not because I had a bad problem about churches for a long time, but I'm seeing churches coming out of everywhere. And these people, wonderful people, are just coming in and just cleaning, and they're dirty and they're in pain and everything, but they're out there working for everybody. That's what I'm saying. It's not just certain people, it's all of us involved. Even though I'm not there, I'm calling, you're doing things with prayer. That's what I'm saying. We all are in on this. This is our real truth. And so I just feel like it's more important that we stay, grounded and very prayerful about what we're seeing. What is this? Ghost Rider says,
Ghost Rider's on.
yeah, through an adversity, those dark nights of the soul, never hate them because they are there to get you closer to God. And just, amen. Edging
Amen.
out. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and then one of the things I will say, and
So
this I've
it really is the
uh,
best. It is.
yeah. So one of the things that I want to just kind of share the final thoughts on this is that I've always had trouble crying and letting it out, and
I've
so
tried a lot
um,
last 4 or 5.
and well, I've cried a lot for that, but then I cried over the past probably the past 3 or 4 weeks is because I think that I waited a long time to have friends that I could trust,
Uh-huh.
and especially gay male friends.
Mhm.
And so I I started crying when I started thinking about Justin and Damien and Jesse and my life, and I've told all of them how much I love them, and so the other day I was just kind of joking around with Jesse. I said, technically, I'm homeless right now. Because you are not homeless. You have a place to stay with us. You always taken care of, and you're our family. And I was like, and it just made me cry because one of the things that has been tough for me is I've had you and I've had people that are really close to me. I'm not gonna say I didn't know that, but when my mom passed away, I felt very lost in a sense, and I didn't realize that probably until the last year or so. And I just felt like, what am I going to do without my mom being here? And so it's been 12 years since she's gone,
It's been,
and
you know,
so I thought, I have a family, and it's you and many other people, and these three. And I'm not going to say boys; they're men. Literally have had my back no matter what.
mhm.
So those are the things I think that we have to start appreciating in our lives, because if we don't, we're going to miss it. And there's that phrase again: "Don't miss it."
Don't.
And
That's exactly.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
because it is, and I say that, don't have any regrets, don't miss it. Uh,
Mhm.
I think a lot of people today, in the last 5 or 6 days, they're all reminding themselves, I should have said something. I should have, before they left. And there's a lot of people who are going that have not no longer with us from all of
Yeah.
this, these storms. And I think they're having regret that they didn't pick that phone up. And most times, intuitively, a lot of people get this information, but they ignore it because they don't think it's that important, or it was their thinking. If you're into intuition and something keeps bothering you to do something, do it.
Yeah.
That regret that you, after it's over, you could have done something or just say something. It's not about doing anything. It's just being honestly, like you had at that moment that someone said, you're taken care of. You are our family. That makes a difference right there, that
Mm.
you are a part of something.
Well, because it gives your human side that moment where it's afraid, that inner child, whatever it's afraid, and it says that's somebody that loves you enough to say, I've
Right.
got you, we've got you, and and I mean that, and if we're all a spark of the divine, that was God speaking through that person, through the heart,
Absolutely.
because it always comes through the heart,
Hmm.
and when it comes through the heart, that is God.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I look back and I've called people that I would never have called in a long, long time. I picked up the phone because I knew not that they were in danger or anything. It just made me remind, what if that really happened to somebody I really do know and that I would have been asked to do something?
mhm.
Just pick up the phone and call them. And so I
Right.
did. I made a lot of phone calls.
Well, and then there's the give. Well, I did this because I've called people I hadn't talked to in a while,
Yeah.
and I just checking on you, especially if they lived in North Carolina. I've
Yes.
been in Georgia. I'm calling people and stuff like that, and so I called one of my friends and I just said, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, just to make sure you're okay.
That's what I did.
And she lives on a mountain close to Asheville,
Oh,
and
wow.
she said that what protected us is where we were higher up, and they had a generator and they had enough food, and they're close enough where one of the roads they can actually get water and food in and gas. So I mean, it's one of those. And then another friend who's not directly in that area, but he's still got flooding in
Mm.
North Carolina, and he's safe. So I had to do that because I had to, in that sense, it reconnected me to them. And I found out he's been married for 3 years. So
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
and so it's one of those things where I think uh, of electricity with no internet. Oh, thank goodness you have electricity, Kelly. I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
And um, and so yeah, I know Augusta got hit really bad. And then Justin boil water alert too. Well, yeah, I can imagine. We had that here in Florida in 2017. We had to boil water, so we
Mhm.
couldn't drink the tap
Well,
water.
we get that a lot in Kentucky too. So, not like the certain disasters. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes you have to boil your water. But also, I have got a whole lot of water. I was expecting something because we did have hurricane winds. Hurricane one that came through here, and it just destroyed our trees. But nothing like what has happened to everybody else. And we were flooded about 3 or 4 years ago, and there was people from all over the world. So when you've been doing the same thing, then repay back, and you do what you can do for the others. But we've got to start doing that. We've got to get out of all of these politics and everything. Let's get down into the heart of who we are. Let's go back
Yeah.
to where we were and stop worrying about government and everything else, because I think they found out government wasn't there. So what it is you're going to have to depend on yourself. Nobody's going to be able to get handing it to you.
Well, yeah, a
So
lot of the organization, the groups. There's a lady that's a nail tech here that raised $8,000 and packed full of a fitness center, clothes and food and
yes,
water that people needed. And a lot of the helicopters flying up and getting people up in North Carolina are private helicopters. They're
absolutely. These are
they're not.
people that are spending their money to put that gas in those helicopters and dropping it. And this one
Yeah,
man's been doing it 4 days.
yeah.
So
Well, we've come to the end of the hour. We or half hour. Uh, Go to mydivineinheritance.org. We have a session this week on Monday, Soulful group. If you want to go check it out, we have one the first Monday of every month.
group. We have a lot of people who really
Yeah.
come in. We really do some deep work with that.
Yeah,
So
we've had some really powerful, especially recently. So,
yes,
but much love, everybody, and have an amazing weekend.
yes.
Bye bye. Bye.